Now, many things can influence the value of a house, but what instantly reduces the value of a house in America by a third?
O.J. Simpson lived there.
Third.
Something.
Five
Is it a tornado cutting it into thirds?
2/3 of it is on one side of the San Andreas fault.
I may say that what it is nonsense, but it's the kind of nonsense that Americans, unfortunately, quite often seem to believe in.
Yeah, like it's,
it's
whether or not it's near to a drive-in.
Portal to hell.
Well, kind of.
It's buried on a graveyard.
Haunted is the right answer. Haunted. Obviously, it won't be haunted because...
There's no such thing as ghosts.
No such thing as ghosts, exactly. But the point is, the stigma of haunting is enough. If it's merely mentioned or that people seem to believe that there are ghosts there, then it will reduce...
I told you about the haunting.
Yeah. I told you about the
There
ghosts.
should be ghosts everywhere. I mean, so many of them. There should be ghosts. There should be dinosaur ghosts. There should be cow ghosts.
Exactly.
Sheep ghosts.
Yes. I know.
Worm ghosts.
Yeah, dinosaur ghosts. That's a brilliant idea.
Tons of them. There should be stromatolite ghosts, rocks that used to live in the old days.
Exactly.
The most plausible thing I ever heard on the ghost front is the idea it can be the atmospheric thing like a lightning bolt or something. It's because of a peculiarity in a magnetic force.
Yes,
and these people
you're
are
right.
unaware that they're ghosts, and that's why they appear to float or walk through doors, because as far as they're concerned, the door isn't there. And I can kind of... I can kind of buy that.
This is
I can buy that people's brains are affected by magnetic fields, and there are certain circumstances where it's quite common for people to feel chill and dread and to hallucinate and indeed to die, and this is quite common in houses.
That was.
This is quite common. And that's carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh.
From bad gas
Heaters,
boilers and so on. And it causes all those symptoms. But as for dead people coming back, no.
There should be dead cows. No one ever says.
Exactly.
And,
I so agree with
the
you. I'm with
meatpacking
you.
district in New York.
Yeah, why do you draw the line? Suddenly it's only human beings.
Because if you're passing a field and you see a cow in it, you don't say, that's a ghost. They by and large don't turn up.
If you saw it in your house, you would.
Yeah, if you saw it in your house, but cows aren't going to be in the house.
They are, because they've been turned into
Houses are built on all kinds of pieces of land.
Please, I'm not advocating for the ghost party over here.
I love the idea of the ghost party. Whoa! The other parts, they're just scaremongering. Very good.
First appearance of the pipe. The pipe in high definition for the first time.
High-def pipe.
What happened to pipes? That's where they went.
I love pipes.
Would you like to meet the last ever winner of the Pipe Smoker of the Year? Yes. How do you do?
My answer is going to be no.
Did you affect a pipe for a period?
The first QI was about to start as a series, and I was asked to do some press for it. And I left the house to go to wherever it was this interview was. And I suddenly realised I had no cigarettes. And in those days, I was a smoker. And I thought, and I just saw a pipe and some tobacco. And I thought, I'll grab that. Put it in my pocket.
You just saw pipe just lying there in the street?
No, in my house as I was leaving. And 2 days after the Independent article opened, I was asked if I would be the pipe smoker of the year. Did you accept it? I said, yes. Yes, absolutely.
It confers a kind of respectability, I think.
Well,
that's trustworthiness.
I never think you can truly give directions without a pipe, and that's why I envy you that, Bill.
Yes.
No, really.
Oh, well, yeah.
Could you tell me where the station is?
What do you do?
And recognising a friend. Great clock for that.
I think...
Now, a good haunting can knock a third off the value of an American. Where are you most likely to get bitten by a vampire?
A 19th century novel.
Pinewood Studios.
Very good answer.
Outside your own house.
Where on the body?
Well, it would have to be some sort of protrusion where blood gathers and is easily accessible through the bedclothes, probably the elbow.
What about in a dark tunnel?
No, but it is a protuberance, as Jimmy pointed out. Big toe.
Big toe?
Big toe is the most likely place. There are a number of misconceptions about vampire bats, obviously, but, I mean, we're talking about real vampire bats.
Well, who does your picture?
Aren't they pretty?
Oh, he's a nasty-looking one, isn't he?
That is a really ugly
That Gary Oldman is a hell of an actor. It's like he really transforms, doesn't he?
It's
I mean, amongst vampire bats, is he regarded as a bit of a looker?
Yeah. If Yoda had accepted the dark side, that's how he would have looked.
Yeah.
But
That's a very suave-looking bat. Hello.
Would you mind awfully if I nipped you on the toe?
Well, I'm having a few friends over. Would you like a liqueur?
what do they do? How do they ingest their blood? I mean, what do they do?
They bite and sniff it up, swallow it, lick it, slurp it, hide it. Store it, draw it
Who
off
do
into...
you think
decant
you are?
it. Decant it.
Laid down for a couple of years.
Yeah, they do with the syringe. I mean, they're quite hygienic animals. Small bit of cotton wool, syringe, and then you get a cup of tea and a biscuit. That's how you know you've been bitten.
And a little tiny little plaster.
They do. You're quite right in one sense. They do an anticoagulant and a painkiller, so you're unlikely to know you've been bitten. What they do is they open the skin and the vein, and then they lap at it like a cat.
I don't want to alarm anyone, but I think a love bomb may have gone off.
Stephen doesn't need a love bomb to behave like that, you know.
Is it getting hot in here?
Yes, the most likely place to get bitten by a vampire is in the big toe.
Describe the night of the horrified sheep. So it was an actual thing that happened November the 3rd, 1888, and something happened that spooked all sheep over a 200-square-mile area in Oxfordshire. Tens of thousands of sheep panicked, they jumped fences, they ran for their lives.
Earthquake.
Well, that was one of the theories at the time, that there might have been a small earthquake or something dropped from the sky, but probably what happened is just one sheep panicked. The hospital was just very dark, and the sheep go, "Where's my friends? Where's my friends?"
Have you just gone... And then all the other sheep must be going... He'll think he's on his own.
Yes.
Then when he panicked, they all went, "Oh, my God! What have we done?"
If a sheep can't get to sleep, do you think
Yeah.
he counts his friends?
I wonder what the reason was that we decided to count them in the first place at night.
Well, it must be really boring to count sheep.
Yeah, that sends you off. Yes. Well, I think you've nailed it.
Thanks. I tell you what, I'd love to count kittens.
Ah.
Imagine if 70,000 kittens ran past you. That would just be the most adorable thing that ever happened to anyone.
See, I really struggle with this. I'm more of a dog person.
That's probably why the kittens are all running away from a dog.
I always think that about cats. You know when people say, oh, like an old woman died in her flat and she was eaten by her cats? I mean, could be...
What world do you live in, people? Kettles, old women.
3 days.
Yeah. You get...
3 days and your cat will eat your face.
Yeah.
Because it will have loosened up enough for it to get purchased.
Yeah.
What sort of show is this?
They never say that, do they, about, you know, aged meat on a menu, you know, with a 20-day aged beef. They never use the phrase, "it will have loosened up enough to get purchase."
Have a look at this. Here is a night to remember. This is the 9th of November, 1874. The New York Herald front page article reported the wild animals broken loose from Central Park. Terrible scenes of mutilation. The article described 49 deaths and 200 injuries. There's some excellent details in it. It included a sighting of a lion in a church, and my favourite, a rhinoceros in a sewer.
How do they get it out of the sewer?
Never mind that. How did it get in there? It was fantastic.
Manhole cover.
Must have fallen in.
But it wasn't until the very last paragraph that the article concluded. Of course, the entire story given above is a pure fabrication. Not one word of it is true. Not a single act or incident described has taken place. It's a huge hoax, a wild romance. And then it went on to ask, that was the reason for the headline, what would we do in New York if this happened? It's one of the most notorious and indeed accidental media hoaxes. But in fact, it just caused complete panic in the streets.
Is that a huge risk? In zoos?
Well, yes. So you would think that maybe it's something that we don't need to worry about. You've got enough cages. But in February 2016, the Ueno Zoo in Tokyo did their annual a test to see what they would do if an animal escapes. And what they did was they got the 27-year-old gorilla keeper called Yumi Tamura to dress up as a zebra. There she is. And there they all are dealing with it. And so, yes. Verified death. Now, here's my favourite moment, checking to see if animal is dead. Wow. The famous poke them with a stick. No one knows why tens of thousands of sheep went crazy in Oxfordshire on the night of November the 3rd, 1888. They may have been surprised by the fact that it got dark, or by the news that earlier in the day, Preston North End beat Notts County 7-0. I'm really trying with the football thing, just so... For a question on screams and screens, how can you make a scary movie even scarier? Did that help?
Darkness, being in the dark.
Where did you get your clues from?
I don't know.
I took my daughter when she was 2 to a pantomime. It started in blackout. Lots and lots of little kids, and it's Jack and the Beanstalk, and all the lights went out, and I could feel her little hands just gripping hold of my arm, and then over the tannoy, fee, fi, fo, fum, and they all burst into tears. They had no idea what was going on. There hadn't even been a bean yet, never mind a stalk, never mind a climbing up, never mind the giant. And then the lights came on and someone from EastEnders went, "Hello, boys and girls," and I had to take her home. She was inconsolable, and she still gets anxious whenever she sees an auditorium of any sort.
Or EastEnders.
I took my my godson Joe when he was 3 to a pantomime, and there was a character in it who turned to the audience and went, "I'm going to eat all the children." And Joe shouted, "He's just kidding, but let's go home anyway." So scary movies, we're talking about a very celebrated showman called William Castle. He used to be known as the Abominable Showman, and he was a B-movie director in the days when there were B-movies. He's the guy on the right there, his friend.
Not the guy in the middle.
No, not the guy in the middle. And he was famous for films like House on the Haunted Hill and The Tingler and so on. And he had the most fantastic gimmicks. So in 1958, he produced a film called Macabre, and every single member of the audience was given a life insurance policy. So you signed it as you entered, and if you died of fright in your seat, your family got given $1,000. Very sadly, nobody...
That's very good.
Nobody did die from this.
Come on, Nana, let's get to the cinema.
But he used to keep nurses on standby in case there was something terrible. He would have hearses lining the street outside special showings. He often arrived at a premiere in a coffin himself, and he would employ women to sit in the audience and scream at specific scary moments. So there's a marvellous moment in The Tingler when a character breaks the fourth wall and turns to the audience and says a sort of deadly parasite has escaped into the cinema, and then the people that he'd paid were trained to collapse into screaming hysterics. And hid buzzers in seats to give vibrations at sort of key moments in the film.
It feels like if you Googled The Tingler, something else would come up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
These days, yes. Yeah, that's probably true. He had a film in 1961 called Homicidal, and it had a fright break in it. You were allowed to leave and get a full refund before the terrifying sort of denouement of the entire thing. You had to leave your seat and follow a yellow streak before the entire audience to a special booth called Coward's Corner, and a light shone on you with a recording intoning "Watch the chicken, watch him shiver in Coward's Corner." And there were films with 2 endings. There would be the scary ending or the mild ending, and you could hold up glow-in-the-dark cards to vote.
Wow.
And nobody ever voted for the mild ending. They always voted for
I
the
think
scary
I
one.
probably would have voted for the mild ending.
Yeah, I definitely would have. I can't be doing scary films.
I don't like scary films.
You probably wouldn't have gone, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Although, oddly, I went to see Scream in
Yes.
the cinema, and it got to me. And it got to me because it's so, you know, it's like a joke about a horror film, and you can tell they're playing games with something scary is going to happen, but it will happen at some point in the next 3 to 27 seconds. And that area of doubt is what's so unbearable. And so I hated it, but then I thought, but I think it's quite well done, so I'll go and see it again. It was just as bad the next time. And when I saw the film about sharks that become super intelligent, And they became so intelligent they can swim backwards, which, you know, it's not saying much, but anyway, that gives
That
them...
frightened you?
It means if someone shits in their face, they can
I'd
back
seen
out of the
that
situation. But that frightened me so much. I had to tell myself, these aren't sharks, these are submarines.
And did you say this out loud
To the
in the
audience,
cinema?
yeah.
Yeah, I sort of whispered it to the people I was there with. It
That
was
is a
important to me
unique
that they should
coping
know.
strategy.
Yes. It's not even a very good film. I thought I'm being made miserable by something second-rate.
It's not very good.
Was Frankenstein? Yes.
Green.
Frankenstein was a baron in a novel who was a scientist who made a monster.
Yes, I know. And the monster's name?
The monster's name.
The monster's actual name in the book. He does have a name.
Go on, tell us.
Adam.
Adam, of course he's called Adam, because he's
It's
like
Adam.
the first man he's made. So, yes, what colour, obviously, was Frankenstein's monster?
Oh,
Yep.
green. Purple. No,
Well, I was going to say it's sort of grey colour, but that's because I only ever saw him in black and white. I don't really know what
She didn't write a black and white book, except in the sense the print was black and the paper was white, but she used coloured words, and she did describe Mary Shelley, who wrote the novel, of course. In 1818.
Jaundice yellow.
Yellow is the answer. His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was of a lustrous black and flowing, his teeth of a pearly whiteness.
When she says it's scarcely covered, does she mean there were gaps?
Yeah, because he was like a dead body had been brought back
Bits
to life.
of them.
So he was like,
Hang on.
like the mummy. You remember when the mummy gets, in the movie, gets...
Bits come
Yeah.
off. Imhotep.
Imhotep. Imhotep.
Imhotep.
Imhotep. Yeah, well, Frankenstein's monster was, in fact, yellow in the book, anyway. What did you use this for? I have a picture of them here.
Oh, frighten the children.
It's a German invention.
Put a torch behind it, and then you creep up into their bedroom at night when they're asleep. Well, you move it very slowly across the room.
It's a thing that is used in the lavatory, in the WC. No, it's a habit. It's for men to do something when they go to the lavatory. It's to encourage them...
The seat... Anything to do with the seat?
It is to do with the seat.
To dive off it into the toilet?
No. Noble guess, but doomed. No.
Do they sit down? Do they sit down in Germany?
It's if they lift the seat, which men tend to do before having a pee. This, I have one here. Here it is.
This is your toilet speaking. Wouldn't you rather like to sit down? Oh, you prefer to stand? Well, then you may leave now.
Poor German men don't actually get to go to the toilet then, do they? Hey, no wonder they're wearing that lederhosen and slapping themselves all the time.
No, the point is, in Germany, they think it's somehow unhygienic because there's splashing and things. They want the men to sit. So it's like, that's how it's attached. So when you lift up the seat, it starts speaking at you loud enough in a public lavatory for others to hear. So that men sit and have a pee. That's the idea.
Splashing is a problem. We've got builders in at the moment, and they're all using the lower loo. It is like the Centre Parks log flume in there.
What happened, this is my question to you, what happened to 3/4 of the people accused of witchcraft in England?
Drowned? Burned? Killed?
We were much gentler than you might think. They were acquitted.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that sending the wrong message to witches?
We were apparently rather resistant to the idea of destroying witches in England, and unlike views espoused in so-called books, and I use the word book very loosely, like the Da Vinci Code. It is complete loose stool water. It is arse gravy of the worst kind. Anyway.
He's a blues singer.
Please welcome Loose Stool Water. Very good. Excellent. Well, that particular panful of that material did claim that about 5 million women were burned or hanged around Europe for being witches. There's absolutely no evidence there's anything like as much as that. Probably about 500, probably less in England. And they weren't burned, they were hanged.
The lawyer would have said, maybe not go to court dressed like that.
Yeah. 2 possibly burned. That's the only evidence that 2 were burned. The rest were hanged, probably about 400 or 500 at the most. There are lots of Hammer films. The Devil Rides Out and those kind of things. Usually Peter Cushing, and sometimes, if you were very lucky, they would have Charles Grey in a huge white smock. The Middle Ages, in fact, featured lots of very useful inventions. But tell me, what has been called the wickedest, silliest, most insane and most disastrous book in world literature?
The Liar by Stephen Fry.
It probably is.
Mein Kampf.
Yeah. That would be a very sensible guess.
And in the interest of balance, the Da Vinci Code also.
Yes. These self-help books.
Yeah.
The books that say, if you just change the way you think, you'll be fine. I mean, you know, everyone's got a mood board for something. So maybe there was a medieval mood board of some kind, but yeah.
You're right to mention the medieval era, because it was a book of the 15th century.
Fox's Book of Martyrs.
No, that was a little later, but let me give you its title. Malleus Maleficarum. Maleficarum, I beg your pardon, because that's the point. If you know your Latin, that means malleus. If you take the US off and put a T from malleus...
Mallet.
Mallet. It's hammer. So malleus is hammer.
Timmy Mallet's autobiography. Sorry, I'm bringing the tone down. I know I am.
No, you're not.
Is it the Malefica? Is that like the bad-doing hammer thing, you know?
Well, that's the... of the, that's genitive. Come on, boy, that's
Come on.
genitive. So it's the hammer of the bad-doing people, but the arum, not aurum, tells you it's bad...
Doing women.
Yes.
Oh.
Which bad-doing women and their hammer.
No,
I
want to be the hammer of the bad... I want
do.
to beat them down.
The crazy witches of Eastwick.
really?
Witches!
Oh, witches!
You said it!
Witches.
You said we got there. It's
We're supposed to hammer them.
of the witches is what that means.
So it's not... They don't own the hammer.
No.
We own the hammer.
No.
And we hammer away at them.
I am more confused than when I talked about mini milk.
So, we had a Latin parsing essay...
Right.
...in which the Malleus Maleficarum turned out to mean the hammer of witches. The way to beat witches. And this was a textbook about how to destroy and find witches. Now, it was strange because it was mid-15th century. In the mid-15th century, the Church banned belief in witches. So this wasn't a time of witch burnings or anything of the nature. But the very nature of the success of the book meant that a slow movement grew in which witches should be found and burned and tortured and so on. And this book was therefore called the silliest, most wicked book ever written, because it made appalling claims about women that, for example, that they dispossessed men of their penises.
As if.
They would take their penises, put them on a tray, and the penises would wander around of their own volition, eating oats and corn. No, not corn, not maize corn.
With a simple pecking motion. Or like with a suction. How would they do it?
Here's a monster that someone made earlier, but what is it? And what's it made from?
Ooh.
Oh, my gosh.
Is it carved? Is it made from bone?
It's a type of mermaid that was very popular in the 19th century. It's called a Fiji mermaid.
Ooh.
People come from miles to see it. It was shown off at carnivals, and it was made from fish and household bits and pieces. For a long time, people thought it was made by the addition of a monkey's head with a fish. And this particular one was acquired by the Wellcome collection in 1919, and then later by the fabulous Horniman Museum. Do you know the Horniman?
Yeah, I live near there.
Don't you?
In Forest
South-
Hill, it's
South London,
brilliant, yeah.
It is an incredible place. A genuine museum of curiosities of the most fascinating kind.
Yes, I've been there too. It's great.
It is good. It's a fine
You're just
place.
saying that because I said I've been there.
I go every week.
When you said you went to the aquarium, I didn't jump on it. Like, oh, yeah, I've been. And then you have your time in the sun.
Time in the sun.
Oh, wow.
There we go. Now, look. You see now.
So were they supposed to be scary creatures?
It is quite scary. And you picture
Yeah.
it scampering in your bedroom or something, and it's quite...
They were a lot sexier
nasty.
once they added the hair and the shell bra.
Yeah, exactly. But you'd be pleased to know that this is a result of the CT scans, which were made by the Horniman Museum for us, and Dr. James Moffat of St George's University in London translated the CT scan data into this 3D printing of the original. So this is a 3D printing. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we like that.
Really good.
Yeah. And you can see how detailed it is. Even the little holes and flaws in the
Have you been to
fishtail.
St George's Hospital? It's really excellent.
I'm not going to play this game.
I genuinely jumped.
You've seen them at Dartmoor, haven't you, Widdicombe?
What are your monsters called?
We've got, on Dartmoor,
Yeah.
we've got the hairy hand. Are you aware of the hairy hand? Which is a...
You get it when you're about 15.
The hairy hand is a disembodied hand that would appear from nowhere if you're driving along the B3021. And it would steer you off the road. But there's
Officer.
Yeah.
And it smelt of cider, didn't it?
It dropped its point on me, and then it drove me off the road.
One of the people that claimed he'd been steered off the road by the hairy hand, he described it as invisible.
Oh, bless him for trying. Instantly reduces the value of a house in America by a third.
O.J. Simpson lived there.
Third.
Is it a tornado cutting it into thirds?
2/3 of it is on one side of the San Andreas fault.
I may say that what it is nonsense, but it's the kind of nonsense that Americans, unfortunately, quite often seem to believe in.
Yeah, like it's,
a
whether or not it's near to a drive-in.
Portal to hell.
Well, kind of.
It's buried on a graveyard.
Haunted is the right answer. Haunted. Obviously, it won't be haunted because...
There's no such thing as ghosts.
No such thing as ghosts, exactly. But the point is, the stigma of haunting is enough. If it's merely mentioned or that people seem to believe that there are ghosts there, then it will reduce...
I told you about the haunting.
Yeah. I told you about the
There
ghosts.
should be ghosts everywhere. I mean, so many of them. There should be ghosts. There should be dinosaur ghosts. There should be cow ghosts.
Exactly.
Sheep ghosts.
Yes. I know.
Worm ghosts.
Yeah, dinosaur ghosts. That's
Yeah.
a brilliant idea.
Tons of them. There should be stromatolite ghosts, rocks that used to live in the old days.
The most plausible thing I ever heard on the ghost front is the idea it can be the atmospheric thing like a lightning bolt or something. It's because of a peculiarity in a magnetic force.
Yes,
and these
no, you're
people are
right.
unaware that they're ghosts, and that's why they appear to float or walk through doors, because as far as they're concerned, the door isn't there. And I can kind of... I can kind of buy that.
This is
I can buy that
yeah.
people's brains are affected by magnetic fields, and there are certain circumstances where it is quite common for people to feel chill and dread and to hallucinate and indeed to die, and this is quite common
what
in
a night
houses.
that was.
This is quite common. And that's carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh.
From bad gas
Heaters,
boilers and so on. And it causes all those symptoms. But as for dead people coming back, no.
There should be dead cows. No one ever says.
Exactly.
And,
I so agree with
the
you. I'm with
meatpacking
you.
district in New York.
Yeah, why do you draw the line? Suddenly it's only human beings.
Because if you're passing a field and you see a cow in it, you don't say, that's a ghost. They by and large won't turn up.
If you saw it in your house, you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you saw it in your house, but cows aren't going to be in the house.
They are because they've been turned into
Houses are
hotels
built
in
on
New
all
York.
kinds of pieces of land.
Please, I'm not advocating for the ghost party over here.
I do have the idea of the ghost party. The other parts, they're just scaremongering. Very good.
First appearance of the pipe. The pipe in high definition for the first time.
High-def pipe.
What happened to pipes? That's where they went.
I love pipes.
Would you like to meet the last ever winner of the Pipe Smoker of the Year? How do you do?
My answer is going to be no.
Did you affect a pipe for a period?
The first QI was about to start as a series, and I was asked to do some press for it. And I left the house to go to wherever it was this interview was. And I suddenly realised I had no cigarettes. And in those days, I was a smoker. And I thought, and I just saw a pipe and some tobacco. And I thought, I'll grab that. Put it in my pocket.
You just saw pipe just lying there in the street?
No, in my house as I was leaving. And 2 days after the Independent article opened, I was asked if I would be the pipe smoker of the year. Would you accept it? I said, yes. Yes, absolutely.
It confers a kind of respectability, I think.
Well,
a trustworthiness.
I never think you can truly give directions without a pipe, and that's why I envy you that, Bill. Sorry,
Yes.
no, really.
Oh, well, yeah.
Could you tell me where the station is? Oh, yeah.
What do you do?
And recognising a friend. Great prop for that.
I think...
Now, a good haunting can knock a third off the value of an American house. Describe the arrangements for moving a house in the 4th largest island in South America. Oh.
The 4th
largest island in South America.
Look at your tats. Nice
I know,
tats.
I've got them covered up at the moment, but they are...
I can tell you the 3rd largest.
Go on, then.
Island. Well, they just get it in a van and go. What the hell is the 4th?
The 4th largest island, well, if I tell you its name, is Chiloé.
There'll be a boat. Oh, that helps. What?
There are the people of Chiloé, the 4th largest island. It's off the coast of Chile.
Well, obviously, they get a yak first.
That's
2 yaks.
Actually, they call it a junta, which is like a team of cattle.
Right.
The point is, when they move house, they literally move house. If they have a haunting, for example, there's a bad spirit, rather than just leave the house and build a house somewhere else, they move the house thinking that the spirit will stay behind. And we can see, I think we've got VT,
This is the...
them moving the house. Look, here they go. That's the junta, and they've got logs, and there it goes.
And that's because there's a ghost inside.
There's a ghost inside.
What if the ghost can travel with them?
But apparently the ghost doesn't.
Well, the ghost goes, I'm still here. Oh, bugger, put it back.
Apparently it doesn't. Apparently the ghost gets left behind going, what happened?
You could shoot me.
Does the cows have any idea where they come
from?
Or all the houses just at one end of the field? Where the best grass
Possibly.
That is an adventure movie, isn't it? That just looks fantastic.
It's Fitzcarraldo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very writ small.
Oh, I think it's Die Hard with a cow.
Or
the guy in the window's going, I want to stay here.
The person at the door's going, what the hell? He just came down because there was a rumbling.
It's quite a sight. Apparently tourists come from Chile to watch it. And the ceremony is called the Minga. And they have a great feast called a coranto, and they dance a waltz. So, now, when the inhabitants of Chiloé Island have unwanted supernatural house guests, they just get their neighbours to pull the house with cattle.
The Pope Lick Monster, Alan Davis. So, can anybody tell me anything about the Pope Lick Monster?
Well, I deny everything for a start. And the Pope started it. No, no.
It is part man, part goat, part sheep, and it supposedly lives...
Part Catholic?
Part Catholic. It supposedly lives beneath a railway bridge over Pope Lick Creek in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh.
It lures people to their death by hypnosis. Come with me.
Oh.
Yes, I have cake. Come this way.
Is that how you get your ladies?
Now, what can you see here? Have a look. What's that?
It's not what you think it is. It's
not the Loch Ness Monster.
It's a hoax.
It's a forgery.
It's a very famous hoax.
Do you know why the forgery was made?
Yes, I do, because I read a bloody book about
There must have been a cash prize for getting a picture.
It wasn't like that. It was revenge, oddly enough. It was a journalist. I'll give you his name. Marmaduke Wetherall.
Marmaduke Wetherall. Yes, of course. He was... Shut up, I know something. I actually know something, yes. Marmaduke Wetherall was he was a big game hunter. And he was... there was a competition. One of the pits... Shut your face! There was years and years I've waited. I know about Marmaduke Wetherall. And years. And I remember at the time I thought, that's going to come in handy sometime. And then I thought, probably not, but it turns out it is. There was a competition by one of the newspapers to prove that the Loch Ness Monster existed.
Yes.
So Marmaduke Wetherall cut the legs off a hippo and he made fake footprints with the severed hippo legs, and then presumably he got found out. And if you say no, I'll punch you in the face.
No, you're really close. You're really close. The point is, he wanted the prize. He was fooled by the artificial hippo footprints.
Oh, you say
and he went to the Daily Mail and said, I found these footprints, here they are. And the Daily Mail published them. The Natural History Museum saw them and said, this is a fake, these are hippo footprints. And he was fired by the Daily Mail. And he was so angry that he then put together this hoax with someone else whose name was Christian Sperling. And many people believed that to be Nessie. What is Gothic about the Goths? Yes.
The Goths were an ancient German tribe, I think, who wore crushed velvet and very, very thin drain-pipe trousers and spat in shopping centres. And Goths have carried on that tradition to this day.
We're a rampaging army of horny-headed warriors.
Yes, and actually you should have some points because, oddly enough, people think of the Goths as German, but they were originally Scandinavian. And you look Scandinavian, well, you know, from that
Glaswegian Scandinavian?
Norwegian Scandinavians.
They sound dangerous.
They came from Scandinavia, and they defeated the Vandals, who were a group of Germans, which is where we get our word
Hang
Vandal
around
from.
bus shelters.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think you are, oddly enough, the most Gothic of the Goths, because the point is Gothic has been used to mean all kinds of things. What kind of things can you think of that are applied to Gothic?
Cathedrals.
Cathedrals, why are they called Gothic?
Well, is it anything that isn't classic?
Yes, it was an insult, is the point. In Renaissance Italy, they called them Gothic to mean barbarian, because they were conceived to be the people who destroyed Rome and therefore destroyed civilization. So Gothic was a huge insult. So there was Gothic architecture. What else was called Gothic? Gothic literature. That's where you start to get Gothic in terms of the macabre, isn't it?
Yes, and a sort of Byron-esque sort of anti-hero, maybe.
Yeah.
The bad monks and women who always fainted and slightly lesed it up.
Yes. And what other forms of Gothic are there? Does Carpenter Gothic mean anything to you?
Carpenter Gothic?
Carpenter Gothic.
That was it was an interesting phase in their recording career. where cause she was quite skinny anyway and she had the mascara. It was, yeah, it looked good.
No, Carpenter Gothic.
Was it a death-obsessed Geppetto? Oh, that's American Gothic, isn't it?
That's right. By...
No, I thought it was Norman Rockwell, but it isn't.
No, it's not Rockwell.
It's Grant somebody.
Grant is right. It's Grant Wood. And that is the actual building there in Eldon, Iowa.
Looks better in the painting, really, doesn't it?
Yes, a little dilapidated.
How have they got Gothic from that? What's Gothic about it?
And that pointed ecclesiastical style window is it's a Gothic arch.
It's a bit of a lame effort, isn't it? Considering the trouble we went to over here,
I know.
Americans think they can put a window like that in and call it Gothic. Lazy Gothic.
Lazy Gothic.
Half-assed Gothic.
Couldn't be bothered to do it properly Gothic.
Just so it fits under the roof, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Wasn't the guy in that painting his dentist?
You're absolutely right. It was Grant Wood's dentist. Points for Sue Perkins. That's pretty damn good. And the woman...
Is it Gail from Corrie? Pretty sure that's her.
Gail from Corrie.
Helen
Worth. Very nice woman.
She looks exactly like the character she plays. Very talented.
There's an incredible similarity.
That's very good. Anyway, so there are lots of things we call Gothic. And, of course, there are the young people who go about in black eyeliner and stuff.
Well, I like the fact that it makes me think that the Goths sacked Rome only after being nagged by their mum for a fortnight.
Oh, do we have to? Rubbish.
How many circles does hell have?
Someone just went, 7. For me, were you trying to...
That person was wrong. No, not 7 circles.
It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire all over again with the coughing.
Yes.
5.
5. Why 5?
Did you say hell or the Olympic rings?
These are concentric circles of doom that, depending on how bad you've been.
It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and then the devil's in the middle.
OK.
Who was the person who wrote about the circles of hell?
Dante.
Dante, so in Dante's Inferno...
9.
Absolutely.
9
circles in hell. So the first part of the epic poem, the Divine Comedy. So the 7th circle is the one everybody talks about, but there's nothing special about it. It's where murderers are punished.
Oh.
Isn't there a weird thing where murderers are punished there, but then it gets worse if you're a fraudster, which I'm annoyed about? It's just like there's a murderer, and then in a worse place is me and my accountant going, what?
Well, you do strike me, Jimmy, as someone that eventually will murder as well.
Just to get out of hell one step at a time.
You're going to end up in the 8th circle of hell.
The 8th?
Yes.
OK.
It's where fraudsters, pimps, hypocrites, coin forgers and flatterers are punished in, frankly, various...
Flatterers? You look well, Sandy.
So what, being a suck-up is as bad as being Jimmy?
Yeah, so flatterers get immersed in dung. That's their thing.
Oh, OK.
Quacks have to suffer the ailments that they've caused in life. People who try to predict the future have to walk around with their head on backwards, unable to see ahead.
What about Daily Mail readers? Are they in number 9?
We know what circle Jimmy's in. See if anybody else wants one of these. First circle is just basically limbo. It's for virtuous non-Christians, so...
Gary Lineker.
Why Gary Lineker?
I just say that about any ex-Tottenham player. First circle of hell, straight away.
Second one is lust. This is the first of the circles of incontinence.
Can I go back to 1, please?
Sexual incontinence rather than urinary, if I may say so. So you would be spending your time with the Cleopatra, Helen of Troy, people like that.
And you get to spend time with Helen of Troy?
Yeah.
That put me down for one of those, yeah.
Yeah. It's too late, you're already in number 8.
This is quite a sexy circle, isn't it? This one?
That's a good circle. Gluttony, that's number 3, trapped in a vile slush. Greed is number 4.
Sorry, what flavour was the slush?
I like the blue one. I like the blue one.
The blue one is good. You get to be pounded by icy rain. I don't know if you fancy.
Oh, it is? It's literally slush?
Yeah.
Is greed in a different category to gluttony?
Yes, and they have to push rocks around pointlessly.
Is there a way of pushing rocks around that isn't pointless?
That's curling, right?